Oh, hey there. Hi. Are you tired of not being seen? Are you wearing camo? Are you John Cena? None of the above? Wait a minute. You're trans. In your luck, I totally didn't miss Transvisibility Day. That's totally right now, the day I'm posting it. Well, guess what? You're in luck. Because this video is about a specific trans artist that I deep dived, did some research. We are talking about Greer Lankton. And they're pretty cool. You know, born 1958, died sadly in 1996. She is mostly known in the 80s in the New York 80 as a sculptural artist. She did do some other things, which I will talk about later in the video. But let's get into it. Oh my god, there's so much history. It's art. Yeah. And like our last video, I'm going to be talking about this artist. Sometimes basic things, sometimes more in-depth things. This one I'm going to go a little bit more in-depth on their personal experiences, mostly because this person had a lot of personal experiences. There will be talk about drugs and different personal things that they struggled with, like anorexia, and I will try to show us a couple of their artworks, which I'm gonna try and not have to cover up too much, but with YouTube probably have to cover it up a little bit. But I will obviously post in the bio, not the bio, but under there, like links of where you can either find that information or look at it, etc. But let's get started. Hi, I'm back with a different shirt and everything because of life. So, I started this video and then stuff happened. But we're back, babe, we're back. And I have notes and we are gonna get started. I'm excited. Okay, so we're talking about Greer Lankton, an American sculptor. I'm not even sure where I kind of left off, but I was talking about how they're a New York known in around the 80s trans female artist with experimental multimedia, mostly known for her sculptural dolls. And obviously throughout me talking, I'm going to show some images. Okay, like I was saying about her stuff, how she was born in Michigan. Yes, she went to Chicago, in the Art Institute of Chicago. And then she also went to Pratt Institute in New York, and that's where she kind of started her art. She did die in 1996 in Chicago. She has a couple like artist books. A lot of them are like what an artist book is basically some of her art in like images. So it's mostly like an image-based book. But what was really interesting on the website that I'm be sharing that has her information, like her family kind of donated a lot of her stuff. So there's a lot of interesting things that it shares there, from like documents of her surgery to like other things like photos, family photos, stuff like that, archived type things, which I have in there. And there's also some journals and stuff in there and sketchbooks that she had. So you can look at that if you want to. The museum that this is connected to is the Mattress Factory Museum in Pittsburgh. It's like they have many showings, and this is like a permanent fixture, and it's called All About Me, Not You. I believe, I could be wrong, it's been a minute since I've seen this movie slash series, and it says that she's in it. I did see that. Nan Golden took pictures of her, but I'm not sure if she's in this series, like the movie as well, Ballad of Sexuality. It is an interesting like documentary, but there's also a photo series that Nan Golden has that's called Ballad of Sexuality as well. So I don't know if she's in both or just the photo series. She was married to Paul Monroe in the 1980s, 1987 to be specific. So some of her subjects, like I was talking about, her themes that she would revolve around was like sexuality, gender, and then some of her problems. Throughout this video, I might be talking about some of her struggles with her body and substance abuse. So if that's uncomfortable, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but if it's uncomfortable for you, maybe skip to a different artist or something that I might be doing in the future. Just beware that there might be images from her artwork to like me talking about it. So if that makes me you uncomfortable, be safe. But yeah, she talks about her anorexia, her drug use, and it talks about her like addiction, and then also deeps dive in like social norms and boundaries with sexuality and gender. About the artist and the art, like I was saying earlier, she has a lot of experimental work with transfeminism and then avant-garde performance, kind of like pop art, neopunk, and she believes her like dolls to be almost like a self-portrait, and like deeps dive on how she views her individual life as someone who's trans, and also being an addict and being around people who were also trans or possibly also addicts around the time frame. And I did write her artist statement. It is very long, but I found it to be kind of interesting. It kind of puts me in perspective of like how she was thinking. So her artist statement says, "I've been in therapy since 18 months old, started doing drugs at 12, was diagnosed as schizophrenic at 19, started hormones a week after I quit Thorazine, got my dick inverted at 21, kicked heroin 6 years ago, has been anorexic since 19 and plan to continue. You know what I say, fuck recovery, fuck psychiatry, fuck it all." It's very interesting for me to read this and put myself in the perspective of the artwork she was doing and why she felt so strongly about certain things, because how she lived life and how she felt as a person and the struggles that she was going through really impacted her and her artwork. And I don't think I've seen like an artist statement so bold. But it's just very interesting. I will leave it here obviously for a couple minutes. You can read it, the rest of it. And then there's also how she felt trapped in her own world and in her tiny apartment and in her head, which I felt very like connected to. Like sometimes I feel like I'm trapped in my own world and my own bubble, and it's hard to see anything else when you're stuck in a small environment and in your own small world. I have some artwork here. Before I continue, I did want to mention one of her like connected artists, or who she found to be inspirational, was Hans Belmer. From what I'm seeing, it makes sense from the artwork she does, like how she was inspired by him and how he influenced her artwork. And then when I go into her artwork, we see like her, like I was talking about, how she went through anorexia and through the eyes of like a trans femme, and how she portrays that in different people. There's also like some dolls and stuff. Like some of them are like really, really realistic. One of them shows like a woman with a cigarette, and there's like an actual, I think it's an actual dog that's next to it, unless that's another puppet. That'd be crazy. But They're like really, I showed some to show the range of like how tall some of these were. She did do some smaller ones, but I was really interested in her tall ones. And to show the size range of what she was working with and what she was doing. In the Pittsburgh Museum, it shows kind of a replica of what her room looked like at the time, and added some other things too as well to really put in perspective the type of work she was doing. I think they're really interesting, like the one in the blanket with all these like pill bottles, showing her side of what she was going through, and how I was saying in her art statement where she felt like she didn't want to recover anymore. She felt tired, and that she was like letting, not in a mean way, but she was kind of, she was not going to continue to try and get better, quote unquote. And I also found some of her other artwork really interesting with, I think this is common with a lot of like possible trans or really like queer art. While we also think a lot about sometimes religion, because we're put in this perspective of like what we should be because of the stereotypical Christian religion, and how she has these almost remind me of like an ofrenda sort of, or like a shrine kind of, with these crosses and putting like a body, and the notion of like this deformed or imperfect or drug or an anorexic body near them. Like, it also, you know, with the anorexia and stuff, makes you think of Jesus on the cross, where he was like really skinny, and these imperfections and stuff, and this hate that was put onto Jesus. And you also think a lot of the things with Christianity, where it's like, oh, take me as this bread and it's his body. So I'm seeing these like correlations between her artwork and religion, and how she views it as like this imperfect body, and like this also praise of it as well. It's like very interesting, like when I'm showing you these images, and then you could also look on the website more. I'm also seeing some other characters, but this woman with the blue and all this blue hair and stuff very much reminds me of a circus vibe, which again, with history and stuff, a lot of times people who are different, are quote unquote weird or bad, were also put in this like aesthetic of like a freak show or whatever. And that kind of reminded me of that, of how different people are put on display. That kind of reminded me of that for some reason, this display of difference, but kind of in a good way. I don't know, it's like this, the fashion, the work that she would put into her pieces. Okay, so she even has like a mask or something that she made for her wedding, I believe. I don't know, she puts this care and love into these bodies, and interestingly enough, not in a mean way, she stopped putting care into her own. Okay, so she died at 38 of a cocaine overdose, and if it wasn't for the cocaine, then it would have been for something else. But I also feel like, I mean, even if she wasn't trans, there was a common drug use in the 80s and such, but I feel this this known pain for someone who is trans and does not feel right in the world, and it's like this continuous struggle to feel like you belong, sort of. Even with the right family or the right support, which she didn't always have the right support or family for that. I don't know. It's sometimes, hard, and I don't not condone, but anger her or disapprove, I guess the word is, for doing the things she did when she was struggling through mental situations. Yes, I believe she said that she was raped by a family member from a young age, and from I have not been, sexually assaulted or raped from a young age by a family member, but I know people who have, and, well, my mom has. And she also went through drugs and this and that for a coping mechanism. Because, duh, that sucks. So I don't know. I'm not angered towards her, but definitely, interesting perspective of life and, how to go around her artwork and see this compelling display of different people she was surrounding herself with. And a lot of her dolls seemed to have something with them. Either they were anorexic, or if they were, there's some kind of show of display. In one of them, I think there's a bloody cross or something. Definitely, which, again, with queerness, you're seeing this symbol of the stereotypical Christian religion all the time, and you're told, gay or trans or queer or whatever, that you need to not be that. You need to be the standard. You need to be this or that. So kind of this rebelliousness to show there are different people, and some of them aren't perfect, some of them aren't pretty, some of them aren't great, some of them are sometimes many flawed, but in ways that's also beautiful. Greer was beautiful, and again, if I'm pronouncing, I don't know if it's Greer or Greer, was beautiful. She was powerful, in her artwork. She had this rebellion and this grit for showing truth and reality, that sometimes being surrounded by life is, there's reality to some people, especially in the queer community, are having a struggle time around the 80s. Those people can sometimes be out in the streets, especially in New York around those time frame. There's many people who were homeless and didn't have a home because they were trans. They were the forefront of people who were diminished or killed because they were different. So yeah, I don't know. I could truly go on for so much more. There's a lot on her and her artwork and who she is as a person, and I think you should really, other than my video, really look into her artwork. I'm going to be showing many references. I forgot the word. From the MoMA, there is a little excerpt on her, but I was mostly going to be showing on her collection, on the Mattress Museum, her book, etc. If you are in that area, totally, look at it. But if not, you can obviously still look at it online. And sorry this took so long. I started it and then I stopped it and then I'm back finishing it. And I still have to edit, and I'll try to put the names of the artworks she made, because I forgot to do that. But I'm not sure if it even says on the website what the names of each piece are. So if I don't, I'm sorry, because there's a lot of images on here, but I don't know the names of each piece. I don't think so. I don't think it does. It shows images, but there's no names to these dolls. So I'm not sure if each of them have a specific name. So there might be, but that I'm seeing, I don't see any specific names for each doll. So apologies if there is and I didn't see it. But like I said, I'm going to be putting the recommendations below. I'm going to try and start a new one soon, so if this happens again, then I finish it sooner, because boy oh boy. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. If you have any recommendations or an artist you want to hear about or you want to see, please let me know. Here are some possible ones that I might be seeing, talking about the future. So if you're interested in one specifically, let me know. I'm gonna be talking about popular artists. I'm gonna be talking about obviously some queer, female or non-binary artists. I'm gonna be talking about controversial artists, so possibly racist or homophobic or whatever. Black artist, which I was gonna start, I think in March, for Millen in March. But I don't know, if you're interested in anyone or anything, let me know. Thank you, and like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thank you for coming by, and bye.